I had lived in Maplewood Estates for 3 years without any real issues. Sure, we had an HOA, but it was mostly harmless, except for one person. Karen Whitmore. HOA president. Neighborhood dictator. A walking complaint form in human form. For years, she had fined kids for riding bikes on the sidewalk, called the police on suspicious Amazon drivers, banned Halloween decorations for being too scary. But this time, she was about to meet her match. Every year, our city hosted a Valentine's charity event for underprivileged kids. This time, I volunteered my backyard for the main event, a fundraiser gala complete with live music, food, and a silent auction. Best part? The mayor's office was funding the entire thing. The city gave us a permit. Local businesses donated raffle prizes. Even the mayor herself planned to stop by. It was going to be an incredible night. Unless, of course, someone tried to ruin it. And we all knew exactly who would. The morning of the event, I was setting up tables and lights when I heard footsteps. I turned around, and there she was, Karen, marching toward me, clipboard in hand, scowl locked in place. "What is this?" she demanded, waving a printed flyer. I smiled. "Oh, just a little Valentine's charity event." Karen's eye twitched. "You didn't get HOA approval." I grinned. "Didn't need to. The city approved it." Her face turned red. "You can't host a loud gathering in this neighborhood." I shrugged. "Actually, I can. We have a city permit." She looked like she was about to explode. Then, she pulled out a measuring tape. "Your tables are too close to the property line. That's a violation." "No, it's not. Your decorations are excessive. Still not against the rules. Your event will disturb the peace." I just grinned. "Karen, it's a fundraiser. For kids. Sponsored by the mayor." Her mouth fell open. She turned bright red. Then stormed away. And I knew this wasn't over. Not even close. By 7 p.m., my backyard was filled with guests. Live music played. People danced, laughed, and ate. The auction table was packed with amazing donations. Even the mayor herself had arrived, shaking hands and thanking people for supporting the cause. It was a perfect night. Until I saw Karen, standing at her window, watching, fuming, plotting. Then, she picked up her phone. I sighed. Here we go. 20 minutes later, I saw flashing red and blue lights. A police cruiser pulled up in front of my house. Karen came rushing out of her house, practically bouncing with glee. Officer, that house is hosting an illegal gathering." The cop, a tall, broad-shouldered guy, frowned. "Ma'am, we received a noise complaint." "What's the issue?" Karen threw her hands up. "They are disturbing the peace. Loud music, illegal activities. I demand you shut it down." The officer sighed and walked up to me. "Sir, can I see your event permit?" I smiled and handed it over. The officer glanced at it. Then his entire demeanor changed. "Ma'am, this event is city-sponsored." Karen froze. What? The city approved this fundraiser. And from the looks of it, that's the mayor standing right there. Karen's face went pale. The officer turned to me. "Sorry to bother you, sir. Enjoy your event." Then, he turned back to Karen. "Ma'am, if you continue making false emergency calls, you could be fined. Or worse." Karen looked like she was about to cry. I thought that would be the end of it. But then, a new voice cut through the air. "Excuse me, what's going on here?" I turned. It was the mayor. And she did not look happy. The mayor, a short but commanding woman in a red blazer, marched up. "What's the problem?" The officer sighed. "This woman filed a noise complaint. Demanded we shut the event down." The mayor's eyebrow twitched. "Wait, so you called the police on a charity event?" Karen stammered. They were being loud. There are rules. They need HOA approval." The mayor's eyes narrowed. "Ma'am, this event is funded by the city. I personally approved the permit." Karen's face turned ghostly white. The mayor folded her arms. "Do you not support fundraising for underprivileged children?" Karen opened her mouth, then closed it. The mayor wasn't done. "Do you enjoy wasting police resources?" Karen looked like she wanted to disappear into the ground. The mayor turned to the cop. "Officer, please note that this call was completely frivolous." The cop nodded. "Already writing it up, ma'am." Karen let out a strangled squeak. Then, before anyone could say another word, she turned and ran straight back into her house and slammed the door. The party continued. People laughed, clapped, and toasted. The mayor even gave a speech, thanking everyone for attending. And Karen? She never showed her face for the rest of the night. The next morning, I saw her front porch light was off. Her curtains were drawn. For the first time ever, Karen was silent. And I knew. She had been completely, utterly defeated. A week later, Tom sent me a text. "Tom, dude. Karen got a warning from the city for misusing emergency services." Me, LOL. "How bad?" "Tom, if she does it again, $1,500 fine." I laughed. For the first time ever, Karen couldn't call 911 for nonsense anymore. Brookhaven was finally at peace. And me? I sat by my fully legal backyard, beer in hand, knowing that no matter what she tried, Karen would always lose. Forever. For 3 glorious weeks, Brookhaven was Karen-free. No passive-aggressive emails. No fake violation notices. No random 911 calls about suspicious activity. It was perfect. Then, I woke up to a letter on my doorstep. No return address. No official HOA seal. Just a single sheet of paper with bold, red text. "You might have one this time, but I will never stop fighting for this neighborhood. It needs order." At the bottom, a single letter. "K." I sighed, rubbing my temples. Here we go again. Over the next few weeks, weird things started happening. A city inspector showed up, saying someone reported my property for zoning violations. Nothing was wrong. HOA members started getting anonymous emails about increasing lawlessness. Someone kept moving my trash cans 2 inches out of place to trigger a complaint. It was classic Karen tactics. Except this time, she was hiding. Karen had gone underground. And she was trying to make my life hell from the shadows. Then, one day, Linda called me. "You need to come to the clubhouse." "Now." "Why?" "Karen. She's trying something big." I rushed to the meeting. When I walked in, the room was packed, and there, standing at the front, was Karen, grinning like she had already won. Karen cleared her throat. "Ladies and gentlemen, I am here to discuss a serious issue." She held up a folder. "This neighborhood is falling apart under weak leadership. We need immediate changes to restore order." I raised an eyebrow. "And what changes are those, Karen?" She smiled. "A new position. A community standards officer." The room murmured. Tom muttered, "Oh, hell no." Karen continued. "This person would have the authority to enforce rules, issue warnings, and ensure compliance." I crossed my arms. "Let me guess, you want to be in charge?" Karen's smile didn't fade. "For the good of the neighborhood, yes." Then, she turned to the HOA board. "All in favor?" Silence. No one raised their hand. Except for Karen. I smirked. "Guess you don't have the votes, Karen." Her eye twitched. Then, she made her fatal mistake. "Well, it doesn't matter. Because I've already sent this proposal to the mayor's office for consideration." The room fell dead silent. Then, Linda burst out laughing. "Karen, the mayor hates you." Karen's face paled. Because she hadn't thought this through. And now? She was about to get humiliated. 2 days later, the HOA received a formal response from the city. Subject: Unauthorized proposal submission. Dear Ms. Whitmore, your proposal for a community standards officer has been reviewed and rejected. Our city does not recognize any additional private enforcement positions outside the existing HOA structure. Furthermore, due to your history of frivolous complaints, you are no longer permitted to submit proposals to this office. We kindly ask that you cease further attempts to manipulate neighborhood policies. Sincerely, Office of the Mayor. Karen's ban from HOA leadership had just been made official. For the first time ever, she had zero power. And nothing she could do about it. Karen showed up at my house later that evening. How dare you do this to me? I sipped my beer. I didn't do anything. The mayor shut you down. She pointed a shaking finger at me. This isn't over. I just smiled. Karen, it actually is. She stood there, fuming. Then, without another word, she stormed away. And this time, she didn't come back. After her most humiliating loss yet, Karen disappeared. No more fake proposals. No more HOA meetings. No more 911 calls for nothing. A month later, her house went up for sale. Karen was finally leaving Brookhaven. For real this time. A few months later, Tom sent me a text. Tom, dude. Karen moved to a new HOA and got banned immediately. Me, LMAO how? Tom, she tried to start a volunteer enforcement team. They shut it down and fined her. I laughed so hard I almost choked. Karen had spent her entire life trying to rule over people. And now? She had nothing. Brookhaven was finally completely Karen-free. And me? I sat on my back porch, beer in hand, knowing that no matter where she went, no matter what she tried, Karen would always lose. Forever. For weeks, Brookhaven was peaceful. No surprise HOA meetings. No fake rule enforcement. No Karen spying from her window. Karen's house was up for sale. Her curtains were closed. Her presence? Completely gone. It felt too good to be true. And, unfortunately, it was. One day, I noticed a moving truck in front of Karen's old house. Finally, I thought. No more Karen. No more drama. I walked outside to greet the new homeowner. And then, I saw her. A woman, mid-50s, blonde bob haircut, sharp eyes. Dressed in business casual, even while unloading boxes. She turned to me and smiled. Hello there. You must be my neighbor. I'm Susan. Susan Whitmore. My stomach dropped. No, not again. I forced a smile. Nice to meet you, Susan. So, Whitmore? Any relation to? She laughed. Oh, you must mean Karen. Yes, she's my younger sister. She told me all about this neighborhood. Tom walked up, saw Susan, and immediately froze. Linda, sipping her coffee, muttered under her breath. We are so screwed. For the first few days, Susan was surprisingly normal. No complaints. No weird HOA nonsense. No random citations. But then, she started introducing herself to neighbors. Asking about HOA rules. Bringing up community guidelines. Talking about the need for strong leadership. It was Karen 2.0. And we knew it. Then, one day we got an email. Subject: HOA special meeting. Dear Brookhaven residents. We have a new neighbor, Susan Whitmore, who has some ideas for improving our community. Please join us for an important discussion on updating neighborhood guidelines. Meeting date: this Saturday. Location: Community Clubhouse. Tom groaned. She's not even here a month and she's already trying to change the rules? Linda nodded. I knew she was bad news. We need to shut this down before it starts. The clubhouse was packed. Susan stood at the front, smiling like a politician at a press conference. Thank you all for coming. I just wanted to say, Brookhaven is a beautiful neighborhood, but I believe we can make it even better. I rolled my eyes. Here we go. Then, Susan pulled out a folder. I've put together a list of proposed guidelines. Just some small updates to ensure we maintain a respectable environment. She handed them out. The moment I saw the first rule, I nearly choked. 1. No loud backyard gatherings after 7 p.m. The second rule was even worse. 2. No charity events without prior committee approval. And the third? 3. No unauthorized above-ground pools. Tom slammed the paper down. Oh, come on. Linda stood up. Susan, this is literally the same nonsense Karen tried. And she failed. Susan smiled politely. Well, I'm not Karen. I know how to do things properly. I folded my arms. Susan, the HOA already ruled on this. You can't just rewrite the rules because you don't like them. The HOA president sighed. Susan, with all due respect, these proposals seem unnecessary. Susan's smile twitched. Oh, I think they're very necessary. Then, she made her biggest mistake. She pulled out a letter. I have already sent these to the mayor's office for review. The room went dead silent. Linda burst out laughing. Oh, Susan, you just killed your own plan. Because we all knew what happened the last time a Whitmore tried this. And history was about to repeat itself. Less than 48 hours later, we received an official statement from the city. Subject: Unauthorized policy submissions. Dear Ms. Whitmore, your proposed changes to Brookhaven's HOA guidelines have been denied. The city does not recognize additional restrictions that conflict with existing HOA agreements. Furthermore, due to previous complaints from this address, we will not be accepting further submissions. This matter is closed. Sincerely, Office of the Mayor. I grinned. We didn't even have to fight her. She lost instantly. At the next HOA meeting, Susan walked in quietly. No papers. No speeches. No fake proposals. The HOA president looked at her. Susan, do you have anything to say? Susan forced a smile. No. I think I'm done here. Then, she stood up and left. And that was the last time she ever tried to take control. 2 months later, Susan's house went up for sale. She lasted less than 6 months. Karen? Still banned from Brookhaven. Susan? Now gone, too. The Whitmore era was over. And Brookhaven was finally free. Months later, I sat on my back porch, beer in hand. Linda and Tom walked up, smirking. Think another Whitmore will show up? I laughed. Doesn't matter. I raised my beer. Because no matter what they try, the Whitmores will always lose. And with that, we toasted to a Whitmore-free world. Forever. For the first time in years, Brookhaven was truly Whitmore-free. Karen? Gone. Susan? Defeated. No new HOA dictatorship forming. It felt too good to be true. And as it turns out, it was. One morning, I stepped outside to grab my mail. And there it was. A thick envelope, no return address. The moment I opened it, my stomach dropped. Inside was a letter. Dear residents of Brookhaven, the heart and soul of this neighborhood have been destroyed by selfish individuals who refuse to follow proper order. The Whitmore legacy was about ensuring compliance, respect, and standards. But do not worry. I will fix this. A concerned community leader. At the bottom, a symbol. A bold red W. Tom walked up behind me, sipping his coffee. What's that? I handed him the letter. He read it, paused, then muttered, Oh, hell no. At first, we thought, no way. This is a joke. Karen and Susan were gone. There was no one left to pull this nonsense. But then, strange things started happening. Anonymous emails began circulating about new community standards. Someone was calling the HOA board anonymously, asking why the rules were so relaxed. A few neighbors got letters, warning them about their yard decorations being excessive. Linda showed up at my house, holding her own letter. Tell me you got one too. I nodded. Someone is trying to pick up where the Whitmores left off. Tom sighed. We need to find out who. And that meant setting a trap. We knew that whoever was behind this would eventually show up at an HOA meeting. So we sat in the back of the clubhouse, watching carefully. At first, the meeting was normal. People complained about dog poop on sidewalks and kids playing too loudly. Then, near the end, a new voice spoke up. A woman, mid-40s, dark brown hair, expensive-looking sweater. Excuse me, but has anyone considered bringing back a more structured approach to HOA enforcement? The room fell silent. Tom and I exchanged a look. Then, the HOA president cleared his throat. And you are? The woman smiled. Oh, where are my manners? I'm Eleanor Whitmore, Karen and Susan's cousin. I just moved in. Linda visibly clenched her jaw. I muttered under my breath. You have got to be kidding me. Eleanor didn't waste any time. She started slowly, suggesting new fines for minor violations, talking about keeping the neighborhood respectable, emailing the HOA board nonstop. Then, she sent out a survey. Subject: How can we improve Brookhaven? Should we have stricter noise limits? Should we ban excessive decorations? Should we reinstate enforcement patrols? It was Karen and Susan's plan all over again. But Eleanor? She was smarter. She wasn't forcing rules. She was manipulating people into thinking they wanted them. And that was way more dangerous. We needed a new strategy. Karen and Susan had failed because they were too aggressive. Eleanor? She was playing the long game. So, we decided to turn the tables. We created our own survey. Should Brookhaven become a Karen-free zone? No additional rules. No unnecessary fines. No HOA overreach. We posted it everywhere. Within a week, over 80% of the neighborhood signed it. Eleanor's plan backfired instantly. And at the next HOA meeting, she was not happy. Eleanor stormed into the meeting, clutching her phone. "What is this?" she screeched, holding up our survey results. The HOA president shrugged. "Democracy, Eleanor." She gritted her teeth. "These people don't know what's best for them. This neighborhood is falling apart." Linda laughed. "Eleanor, you've been here for 2 months." Tom smirked. "You sound exactly like Karen and Susan before they got kicked out." Eleanor's face twitched. She turned to the HOA board. "Are you really going to let these people destroy the community?" The president sighed. "Eleanor, we've had enough of this." Then he pulled out a document. "Effective immediately, you're banned from HOA proposals and leadership attempts. Any further action will result in legal consequences." Eleanor froze. Then, she turned bright red. She grabbed her purse, stood up, and stormed out of the meeting. Without another word. After Eleanor's public meltdown, she disappeared. No more surveys. No more emails. No more concerned letters. A month later, her house went up for sale. She was gone. And with her, the entire Whitmore reign of terror finally ended. Brookhaven never had another Whitmore. No HOA dictators. No Karen-style nonsense. No secret takeover attempts. And my pool? Still standing. One evening, I sat on my back porch, beer in hand. Tom walked by, shaking his head. 3 Whitmores. 3 defeats. Think we'll get a 4th? I grinned. Doesn't matter. I raised my beer. Because no matter what they try, the Whitmores will always lose. And with that, we toasted to a Whitmore-free world. Forever. For the first time in years, Brookhaven was finally Whitmore-free. No Karen. No Susan. No Eleanor. No more power-hungry HOA takeovers. Everything was perfect. Until a real estate sign went up at Eleanor's old house, with a big red banner across it. Sold to a private investor. Linda walked up to me, arms crossed. "You don't think?" Tom groaned. "Oh, for the love of, there's no way another Whitmore is coming." Linda nodded. "Maybe, but I don't trust that family. Not one bit." Neither did I. For weeks, we saw no signs of the new neighbor. No moving trucks. No introductions. No renovations. The house sat quietly, the blinds always drawn. It felt too suspicious. Then, one day, a black sedan pulled up. A man, mid-40s, sharp suit, expensive shoes, slicked back hair, stepped out. He paused, scanned the neighborhood, then walked up to the front door. Tom muttered, "Okay, that dude is 100% not normal." Linda nodded. "That is a corporate villain haircut." Then, the man turned and smiled at us. "Afternoon, neighbors. I'm William Whitmore. I just bought this house." My stomach dropped. No, no, no. Unlike Karen, Susan, or Eleanor, William wasn't passive-aggressive. He wasn't sending complaint letters. He wasn't pretending to be friendly. He was upfront. And that was way scarier. 2 days after moving in, William called for an HOA consultation. Not a meeting, not a vote. A consultation. The board agreed. And when we showed up at the clubhouse, William was already there, waiting, with a PowerPoint presentation. "Thank you all for coming," William said smoothly, flipping to the first slide. "Brookhaven Estates, a new vision for a better tomorrow." Linda leaned over. "I don't like this," Tom muttered. "This is straight-up villain energy." William continued. "For too long, Brookhaven has operated under outdated, inefficient policies. I am here to bring real leadership to this community. I folded my arms. And how do you plan to do that? William smiled. By turning Brookhaven into a privately managed community. The room fell silent. Then someone spoke up. Wait, what does that mean? William clicked the next slide. Step 1. Dissolve the existing HOA structure. Step 2. Establish a neighborhood management firm. Step 3. Hire a professional enforcement team. I nearly choked. You want to turn Brookhaven into a corporate-run neighborhood? William's smile never wavered. It's the future of responsible community living. Tom muttered. Oh my God. This dude is trying to buy the HOA. William pitched hard. Lower property taxes. Efficient rule enforcement. No more disorganized HOA meetings. And then, he called for a vote. All in favor of a better, stronger Brookhaven? Silence. Then, one single hand went up. His own. I smirked. Guess you don't have the votes, William. His jaw tightened. You're making a mistake. The HOA president sighed. No, Mr. Whitmore. You are. William's eyes darkened. Then, he stood up. Fine. Have it your way. But this isn't over. Then, he walked out. After his public failure, William disappeared. No more meetings. No more emails. No more PowerPoint presentations. A month later, his house went up for sale. William had failed. And just like the rest of his family, he was gone. Brookhaven never had another Whitmore. No HOA dictators. No corporate takeovers. No more secret HOA meetings. And my pool? Still standing. One evening, I sat on my back porch, beer in hand. Tom walked up, shaking his head. For Whitmores. For defeats. Think we'll get a fifth? I grinned. Doesn't matter. I raised my beer. Because no matter what they try, the Whitmores will always lose. And with that, we toasted to a Whitmore-free world. Forever. For the first time ever, Brookhaven was finally Whitmore-free. No Karen. No Susan. No Eleanor. No William. No more power-hungry HOA drama. Everything was peaceful. Until one day, Tom called me. His voice was dead serious. Dude, you need to see this. I frowned. See what? The listing for William's house. Someone just bought it. I sighed. Please tell me it's not another Whitmore. Tom hesitated. It's worse. I pulled up the real estate listing. And there it was. Sold. Buyer. Whitmore Property Management Group, LLC. Linda read the name out loud and groaned. Tell me I'm not crazy, but that sounds like William's company. I checked the records. Sure enough. William hadn't left. He had bought his own house under a corporate name. He was back. And this time, he wasn't playing by HOA rules anymore. 2 weeks later, things started happening. A construction crew showed up at William's old house, building what looked like a security booth. Some neighbors got letters inviting them to join an exclusive homeowner program. A new website appeared, introducing the Brookhaven Elite Community Program. Private security patrols. Exclusive neighborhood guidelines. Priority access to community resources. I stared at the site, my jaw dropping. This dude is literally trying to create a gated community inside a non-gated community. Linda groaned. It's like a Whitmore final boss level. Tom shook his head. We need to shut this down. Fast. The HOA called an emergency meeting. William arrived, dressed in a full suit, carrying binders. I leaned over to Linda. This dude seriously thinks he's running a Fortune 500 company. The HOA president sighed. Mr. Whitmore, can you explain what you're trying to do? William smiled. Absolutely. I am launching an optional premium HOA program for homeowners who desire higher community standards. Tom muttered. This dude is selling HOA subscriptions. The HOA president folded his arms. Mr. Whitmore, you don't have the authority to create a separate HOA inside Brookhaven. William's smile didn't fade. Legally, I do. I own private property. And under state law, I can establish a voluntary community agreement with willing participants. I stood up. William, this is insane. You're trying to create a VIP section in a normal neighborhood. William smirked. And? People love exclusivity. The HOA president rubbed his temples. Mr. Whitmore, we're voting on this right now. And in less than 10 minutes, the board unanimously rejected his proposal. Again. William? He just chuckled. Oh, I expected that. But it doesn't matter. Then, he dropped his final bombshell. Because I've already started buying more houses in Brookhaven. The room fell silent. Tom muttered. Oh! Hell. No. Over the next few months, strange things started happening. Houses were being bought up overnight. New residents seemed different. William started hosting private resident meetings in his backyard. Then, one day, I got an offer in the mail. It was from William's company. Dear homeowner, we are expanding our investment in Brookhaven and would love to make you an offer on your property. Our generous terms include above market value cash offers, flexible move-out dates, assistance with relocation. Please consider joining the future of Brookhaven. Sincerely, Whitmore Property Management Group, LLC. I laughed out loud. Linda stared at the letter. This psycho is literally trying to buy the neighborhood. Tom shook his head. He's gentrifying Brookhaven, but make it HOA themed. We needed to stop this. Immediately. I called the mayor's office. Hey, remember William Whitmore? The mayor's assistant sighed. Oh God. What now? I explained everything. The private HOA scheme. The land grab. The insane VIP neighborhood idea. The mayor? She wasn't amused. I'll handle it. He won't like my response. 2 weeks later, the official city response arrived. Attention, all residents of Brookhaven. The city does not recognize Brookhaven Elite or any private homeowner group that seeks to override existing HOA governance. Any unauthorized land development, security enforcement, or policy creation will result in severe fines and legal action. This is your final warning. Office of the Mayor. The HOA posted the notice everywhere. William? He was furious. 1 week later, William showed up at the HOA clubhouse. His usual calm, smug demeanor? Gone. Do you people understand what you've done? He bellowed. Linda crossed her arms. Yeah, we stopped you from turning Brookhaven into a wannabe dictatorship. William slammed his fist on the table. This neighborhood had so much potential. But, I know, you people are too short-sighted to see it. The HOA president sighed. Mr. Whitmore, your experiment is over. You are not taking over this neighborhood. William's face turned red. This isn't over. Tom chuckled. Dude, you've lost 4 times. It's over. And just like that, William stormed out. For good. A few months later, William's house went up for sale. And this time, no mysterious LLC. No private investors. Just a normal family moving in. And just like that, the Whitmore reign was finally, officially, permanently over. Brookhaven? Thrived. And my pool? Still standing. One evening, I sat on my back porch, beer in hand. Tom walked by, grinning. Think we'll ever get a 5th Whitmore? I laughed. Doesn't matter. I raised my beer. Because no matter what they try, the Whitmores will always lose. And with that, we toasted to a Whitmore-free world. Forever. For the first time in years, Brookhaven was finally at peace. No Karen. No Susan. No Eleanor. No William. No HOA coups. No fake violation letters. No corporate takeovers. Everything was perfect. Until one day, I got an anonymous email. Subject, Brookhaven HOA, important notice. A new era is coming. Brookhaven has fallen into disorder. Standards must be restored. Rules must be followed. We will take back this neighborhood. Change is coming. A concerned citizen. At the bottom, a familiar red W. I choked on my coffee. No way. Tom read the email over my shoulder. What is this? Some kind of ghost Whitmore. Linda groaned. How many of them are there? We dug deep. We checked property records, social media, and old HOA documents. And then we found it. A forgotten name. Beatrice Whitmore. Karen, Susan, Eleanor, and William's great-aunt. In her 70s, still alive, and still very much involved in community leadership. Tom groaned. We have uncovered the matriarch. Linda sighed. If she's anything like the others, we're gonna need a bigger plan. A week later, she arrived. Beatrice Whitmore, 74 years old, wearing a pearls and a power suit, walking with a cane that she definitely didn't need. And the first thing she did? Call for an HOA meeting. We showed up, knowing this was going to be bad. Beatrice stood at the front, completely composed. I have reviewed the recent history of this neighborhood. She glanced at me. It is deeply concerning. Tom leaned over. Oh, great. She speaks in villain monologues. Beatrice continued. For generations, my family has maintained high standards in every community we have lived in. But those standards have been erased. Linda muttered. Lady, your family was literally banned from 3 neighborhoods. Beatrice ignored her. Therefore, I am proposing a restoration plan to return Brookhaven to its former glory. She pulled out a thick document and placed it on the table. The Whitmore Code, a guide to proper community living. Tom snorted. Did she just write a Karen manifesto? Beatrice smiled. This is not a democracy. This is about order. The HOA president cleared his throat. Ms. Whitmore, with all due respect, we are voting on this. She nodded calmly. Of course. We voted. And just like the others before her, she lost. Unanimously. But instead of storming out, she simply smirked. You will regret this. Then, she picked up her manifesto and walked out, leaving behind a deep sense of dread. At first, nothing happened. Then, little things started changing. Fake HOA notices appeared on people's doors. Mysterious community watch signs popped up. Neighbors got letters about unapproved holiday decorations. It was organized. It was calculated. And it was spreading. Linda called it the Whitmore Underground. And we needed to shut it down. We tracked everything back to Beatrice. She had recruited old HOA members, whispering about restoring order. She was spreading rumors about property values dropping. She was trying to rewrite history, making people believe the Whitmores were right all along. So we did the only thing we could do. We set a trap. We called for an emergency HOA meeting. Beatrice showed up, smiling. She knew she had numbers now. She took her seat, folded her hands, and waited. I stood up. Beatrice, we know you've been running a shadow HOA. She raised an eyebrow. Prove it. Linda pulled out a binder. Screenshots of her secret group chats. Copies of fake HOA notices. Photos of her community watch meetings. The room erupted in whispers. Beatrice? She simply smiled. And? What will you do about it? The HOA president sighed. Ms. Whitmore, your activities violate multiple city ordinances. The mayor's office had already been notified. Beatrice's smirk faded. You wouldn't dare. Then, the HOA president dropped the final bombshell. You are permanently banned from all community affairs. If you continue, the city will press charges. Beatrice's face twitched. Then, without a word, she stood up. She adjusted her pearls. She picked up her manifesto. Then, she walked out. And that was the end of the Whitmore dynasty. For good. 1 month later, Beatrice's house went up for sale. She was gone. And this time, the Whitmore name was erased from Brookhaven forever. No Karen. No Susan. No Eleanor. No William. No Beatrice. Brookhaven was finally completely free. And my pool? Still standing. One evening, I sat on my back porch, beer in hand. Tom walked by, shaking his head. 5 Whitmores. 5 failures. Think we'll ever see another? I laughed. Doesn't matter. I raised my beer. Because no matter what they try, the Whitmores will always lose. And with that, we toasted to a Whitmore-free world. Forever. For 6 months, Brookhaven was peaceful. No Whitmores. No HOA takeovers. No secret shadow governments forming in basements. Life was finally normal. And then, a for sale sign went up in front of Beatrice's old house. Tom saw it first. Oh no. Oh no. Linda groaned. If another Whitmore moves in, I'm moving out. But something felt different this time. And we were about to find out why. 1 week later, a moving truck pulled up. A young man, mid-30s, tall, glasses, completely normal-looking, stepped out. We watched in silence. Then, he walked up to us and smiled. Hey there. I'm James Whitmore. Just moved in. Tom literally spit out his coffee. You're A. Whitmore? James laughed. Oh, I get it. Yeah, my family has a bit of a history. Linda crossed her arms. A bit of a history? Your family tried to conquer this neighborhood 5 times. James held up his hands. Look, I promise, I'm not like them. Actually, I think they're crazy. I raised an eyebrow. Prove it. James pulled out his closing documents. And at the bottom, next to the buyer's signature, Clause 13, buyer agrees to have zero involvement in HOA leadership, rule enforcement, or community governance of any kind. We stared. Linda gasped. They made him sign a no Karen contract. Tom nearly collapsed laughing. Dude, they HOA-proofed you. James shrugged. Honestly? I don't mind. I just want to live in peace. You guys seem cool. For the first time ever, a Whitmore moved into Brookhaven. And we weren't mad about it. James actually turned out to be awesome. He helped fix my fence. He joined our neighborhood BBQs. He even laughed at Karen's old stories. One day, we asked him, So, what happened to the rest of your family? James grinned. Karen is trying to get into another HOA, but keeps getting rejected. Susan is banned from 4 communities now. Eleanor is still ranting on Facebook. And William? Well, he lost a ton of money trying to start a private neighborhood and had to sell his mansion. I smirked. So what you're saying is, the Whitmores always lose. James raised his beer. That's exactly what I'm saying. And with that, we toasted. To the first and only good Whitmore. And to a Whitmore-free world. For a whole year, Brookhaven was finally normal. No HOA coups. No corporate takeovers. No secret underground Karen networks. James Whitmore? Coolest neighbor ever. Life was perfect. Then one day, James knocked on my door. He looked nervous. So, we might have a problem. James handed me his phone. It was an email from a law firm. Subject, Estate of Beatrice Whitmore. Dear Mr. Whitmore, as the last remaining Whitmore, you have inherited the family trust. This includes control of Whitmore Property Management Group, ownership of 5 vacant properties in Brookhaven, legal authority over any HOA-related assets previously held. Please contact us for further details. Sincerely, Whitmore and Associates, LLC. I nearly dropped the phone. You just inherited the entire Whitmore dynasty? James ran a hand through his hair. I don't want it. I just wanted a house. Linda peeked over my shoulder. Oh my God. This is the final boss level. Tom crossed his arms. James, are you telling me you legally own half the stuff your crazy family tried to use to take over the HOA? James sighed. Yes, and I have no idea what to do with it. We all exchanged a look. Then I grinned. Oh, I think we do. James took control of the entire Whitmore estate. And the first thing he did? Destroy everything his family built. Sold off the Whitmore Real Estate Company. Auctioned the remaining properties. Dissolved every HOA-related contract. Then, he wrote one final letter. To the residents of Brookhaven. For too long, my family has tried, and failed, to take over this community. So today, I'm making it official. There will be no more Whitmore HOA interference. There will be no more Whitmore property control. There will be no more Whitmores trying to rule this place. The Whitmore era is over. Sincerely, James Whitmore. When the HOA received the letter, they framed it. And with that, the Whitmore dynasty officially died. For real this time. A year later, Brookhaven was thriving. No HOA tyranny. No ridiculous rule changes. No mysterious letters from concerned citizens. And my pool? Still standing. James? Still awesome. Tom, Linda, and I sat on my porch one evening, watching the sunset. Think we'll ever see another Whitmore? Tom joked. James laughed. Nope. I killed the dynasty myself. I raised my beer. Because no matter what they try, the Whitmores will always lose. And with that, we toasted. To Brookhaven. To a Whitmore-free world. To finally winning. Brookhaven was finally, permanently free. No Karen. No Susan. No Eleanor. No William. No Beatrice. And thanks to James, no future Whitmores ever trying again. The HOA? Reformed. The neighborhood? Thriving. My pool? Still standing. For the first time in years, I knew we had truly won. There would be no more takeovers. No more shadow rule enforcement. No more HOA battles. Just a normal, peaceful neighborhood. And with that, the Whitmore dynasty was dead. Forever. One evening, I sat on my back porch, beer in hand, watching the sunset. Tom walked by, shaking his head. Think this is really the end? I smirked. Oh yeah, this time? It's over. James grinned. I made sure of it. Linda laughed. Well, it took *5 Whitmores, 3 lawsuits, 2 cease and desist orders, and a whole lot of beer, but we did it. We all raised our drinks. To Brookhaven. To a Whitmore-free world. To finally winning. And with that, we toasted.